We will now start our regular press briefing by Foreign Minister Motegi. Minister, please. There's no opening statements from my side. Please ask your question. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and when you're designated, please step up to the microphone near you. State your name and affiliation. Yes, Abe-san? My name is Abe from Asahi Shimbun. I'd like to ask a question about Japan-China Foreign Ministers meeting. According to Chinese side's announcement, Minister Wang Yi said that China is opposed to Japan making interference on internal affairs, such as Xinjiang Uyghur and Hong Kong. How did you respond? Yesterday, from 6 p.m. for about an hour and a half, I had a telephone talk with Mr. Wang Yi, State Councilor and Foreign Minister. It exceeded the planned scheduled time, but we were able to engage in very frank and substantive discussion. In that meeting, or in the telephone talk between ourselves, we said that as responsible major powers, Japan and China would contribute to the region and to the international community. We confirmed that importance. And towards our 50th anniversary of normalization of diplomatic relations coming up next year, we expressed our expectation for wider exchange and dialogue in many areas. And I raised issues such as the intrusion of Chinese Coast Guard into Senkaku territorial waters, as well as their Coast Guard law, South China Sea, Hong Kong, and Xinjiang Uyghur human rights situation. I said that we have great concerns and urged them to take concrete action. Such interactions, basically what we said from our side, we can make that public. And as for the Chinese side, what they have said in that meeting, that is up to the Chinese side to make public. And their basic position on the Chinese side probably was explained from China, but at least it wasn't a meeting such as the one that was held in Alaska. And I've also raised the issue of early removal of restrictions on Japanese food products imports. We also talked about Japan-China economic relations, North Korea, Myanmar, and other international situations. We also talked about international community's various issues, including COVID-19 and climate change. We had a very frank exchange of views. On Myanmar, we said that international coordination is extremely important. And on North Korea, on the abduction issue, I've raised this issue, and Minister Wang Yi said that China would like to cooperate with us. And on climate change, Japan-China cooperation should be taken forward. We agreed on that. So this telephone talk, this was initiated from the Chinese side, and we had been working on our schedules for some time, and we decided to have that conversation yesterday. As I have been saying from some time ago, we want to make use of high-level opportunities so that we assert what should be asserted to resolve our concerns one by one. And we call strongly for concrete action from the Chinese side. This is our policy, and this remains unchanged. Next question, please.
Kato-san. Thank you. Kato, TV Tokyo. From Chief Cabinet Secretary Mr. Kato mentioned in his press conference about the ministers of vaccinations, and for the related persons who require some vaccinations, the vaccinations will be done in advance. That was what he has responded. So based on this response, let me mention, so I have not heard of the press conference, so could you be more precise? The related persons who require the vaccinations will be vaccinated in advance. And that is what Mr. Kato has responded. So based on his response, let me raise the questions. What is your plan of vaccinations, Mr. Motegi? During the Golden Week, if the Diet is in sessions, it's difficult to take time and visit the overseas nations. Therefore, I am making a coordination of the schedule to visit foreign countries. However, I would like to be fully prepared, as was mentioned by the Chief Cabinet Secretary. Vaccinations is something that I am willing to receive.
Next question, please. Ueno-san. Ueno from Tokyo Shimbun. What was considered in the Obama administration? My question is about this no first use declaration of nuclear weapons. Former official of the Obama administration has made testimony to our interview that they have given up on the idea of no first use due to Japan's objection. What is the situation? Well, between Japan and the US, we are conducting very close and very broad-based exchange of views on matters related to security and defense cooperation. Now, no first use of nuclear arms. There has been very close communication between Japan and the US throughout the Obama administration period as well. And as for the exchange between Japan and US, this has to do with security matters, and therefore I would like to refrain from making comments. Next question.
Ueno, Tokyo Shimbun, I have a follow-up question. So generally speaking, US side, about their possibility to study about no first use policy, what is your positions about the Japanese government? What is your take on the Japanese government on that point? Probably what U.S. deems or what U.S. has been considering. I don't know what may be the appropriate expressions. No first use of nuclear weapon declarations won't come without any conditions whatsoever. I am just talking on the very general terms. Verifiable and simultaneous implementations will only have some significance, but at this point in time, there is no verifications whatsoever in the principle of no first use. So it's difficult to solely rely on such a thinking.
Next question, Azahari-san, please.
Minority news. I would like to move to the Middle East. There were some developments in Jordan. The king, it seems, to have ordered some arrangement against or toward the former crown prince. And now the situation seems to be stabilized. I'm wondering what Japan's position on this issue, because the United States made the statement that they are closely watching the situation. And Japan and Jordan enjoy very strong friendly relations. So what is your comment on this? Thank you.
Former Crown Prince and the relevant parties, we will conduct very close monitoring of the situation. Jordan is our strategic partner for Japan, and to realize stability in the Middle East region is a very important country. During the time of the Iraqi war, on 2 occasions, I went to Baghdad, and both times I went through Amman. So for stability of the Middle East, Jordan is a very important country. So I would like to continue to have close coordination with Jordan so that towards peace and stability of the region, we can work together.
Abe-san. Asahi Shimbun, Abe. With regards to Myanmar situation, appropriateness of the sanctions against Myanmar in the diplomacy committee, it's very easy to solely determine on the sanctions. Now, from the viewpoint of sanctions, sanctions will not directly lead to the restoring of the diplomatic regime. In the committee meeting, very meticulous explanations, I believe, has been provided. But in any case, the situations have to be settled and subdued, and there has to be restorations of the diplomatic regime. From that perspective, sanction, and when I say sanction, it may be sanctions against North Korea, the total sanctions based upon the UN Security Council's resolutions, which totally bans various kind of transactions. or some are not so severe. There are various types of sanctions. Under such circumstances, how can we urge Myanmar, and in a way, I may be able to call this a pressure, what might be the most effective measure, as I mentioned earlier, against Myanmar? What is effective for Myanmar is a perspective that we have to have, in my personal view. So my belief remains to be unchanged.
Any other questions? If not, we will bring this briefing to a close at this point. Thank you very much.